I welcome you all to this special webinar on how to prepare for compulsory paper 2 of SSC Tier 2, that is the English section in SSC Tier 2. We are going to discuss all the areas that are asked in this English part, and then we shall discuss how to prepare for each. Of course, I shall not be going far too deeply, because with just 30 days left, I don't think we should go deep into the subject matter now. I'm sure you have been preparing a lot more seriously definitely than SSC Tier 1. Okay, so I shall be discussing general last minute tips kind of stuff, shortcuts, etc. So let's begin this webinar. Here we go. Okay, so as you know, in general, there are different areas that are tested. Okay, but as you know, there are also different weightages for different areas. We shall be discussing them later. First, in general, there are 200 questions that are asked in the English section. Okay, for 200 marks, which means 1 mark for every question. And there is also negative marking. If you get a wrong answer, you'll lose 0.25 marks. The level in general for SSC Tier 2 English is 10+2. Which means in general much easier than most graduate level exams, and the duration is 2 hours. So let's dig deeper. Let's look at and discuss each question type and its importance and difficulty and how to prepare for the same. A small note before I continue: this is a fast track webinar. As I was saying, I shall not be digging deep into the subject matters. So wherever necessary, okay, take pictures of the slides using your mobile cameras. Don't make notes, because I may move on to the next slide immediately. Okay, so if you want to make note of something, take picture of that slide immediately with your mobile camera. And the most important of all, the questions that you may have shall be taken up at the end of the session. That is roughly around 8 o'clock. Okay, so keep your questions on hold for now. Ask them in the end. Now let's look at each question type and how to prepare for it. So the first one is the most important one, of course, and that is reading comprehension. I call this the most important part of SSC, because this is the deal breaker. This is where many students give up. Okay, this is what many students try to avoid, mainly because it is time consuming. Okay, of course it is time consuming, of course it is difficult, and that is what makes it very important. What is the weightage of this question type? In November 2016, December 2016, and January 2017 SSC Tier 2 exams, there were 30 questions in reading comprehension divided across 6 passages. That is roughly around 5 questions per passage. Okay. Now the difficulty level of this question type, as I said, is tougher than Tier 1 RC or Tier 1 reading comprehension, and most importantly, it's more time consuming than Tier 1 RC. RC itself is time consuming. This is a little bit more time consuming than the Tier 1. And what are the types of passages that are asked? Okay, they usually give you short passages of about 200 to 300 words, not very lengthy passages. Okay, passages are usually on slightly boring subject areas such as economy, business, social studies, political issues, etc. Okay, and the common question types that are asked are fact-based, vocab-based, direct questions, theme-based questions, and inference questions. Now, as you may know, theme-based and inference questions are slightly indirect in nature. Now, what do we mean by indirect questions, and what do we mean by direct questions? Well, as you know, direct questions are questions that can be answered based on just the information given in 1 or 2 sentences. Whereas indirect questions are questions that can be answered only if you understand the overall complete passage. Okay. For example, if I say what is the theme of the passage, now that's an indirect question. If I say why did the author mention Tendulkar, let us say, in the first para, that is a direct question. Okay, so this is the general picture of reading comprehension. So far as the main problem of this RC is concerned, as I already told you, it's time consuming. It takes far more time than it should actually. Okay, if you go back, you already know that there are 200 questions and the time available is 2 hours, which means in 120 minutes you have to answer 200 questions. Okay, so on an average you should be able to answer 1 question in about 30 seconds. Now, that's very difficult, and definitely very, very difficult when it comes to RC, because the reading of the passage itself will take almost 2.5 minutes. If there are 5 questions, if you take 2.5 to 3 minutes just to read the passage, it means the average time of per question has already gone up. So what should we do? My advice is very simple. Okay, attempt only fact-based, vocab-based, and direct questions. Do not venture into attempting theme-based, central idea-based, or inference-based questions, because they require, as I said, deeper understanding of the passage, and that takes more time. Of course, if you are a very good reader and well versed, very well thoroughly practiced insofar as RC is concerned, then go ahead. Okay, if you are taking on an average less time than other students, then no problem. Otherwise, a good strategy would be to attempt only fact-based questions, vocab-based questions, or direct questions. Okay, so that is questions like why does the author mention Tendulkar in the passage, as I said. Now that's a direct question. When you look at the questions, you can easily, you should be easily be able to make out whether it's a direct question or an indirect question. Now that much training you have to take before you go to the exam. You cannot, for example, start guessing in the exam itself. Now, so far as the method, particular specific method of dealing with RC is concerned, I would say, there are two very simpler methods, okay, than let us say deeper methods. The first method, as you can see on the screen, is start by reading the question stems first. Now, what's the question stem? If you see in a question, there are two parts. One, the question itself, and the choices. The question itself is called question stem. Just read that. Attack the question stem directly, okay, and see what kind of question it is. Okay, is it direct or indirect? Then select the direct ones, and then identify some important words in that question. Okay, and using those words or remembering those words, go back to the passage and look for a place or point where those words are present, or those synonyms of those words are present. For instance, if the question, as you can see on the screen, says why does the author mention Tendulkar in the passage? So the keyword here is Tendulkar. You simply go back to the passage looking for the word Tendulkar. Okay, so let us say Tendulkar is mentioned in some, in the first part of the passage. Okay, see why the author mentioned. Read a couple of sentences before that, read a couple of sentences after that, and decide why the author mentioned Tendulkar. And go back to the question and its choices and immediately answer the question. Now this is, will save a lot of time. This will not take, as some may feel, a lot of time, because after all, you are reading just about 4 to 5 sentences for every question. So roughly speaking, 30 to 45 seconds is what you will take to answer this question, not more. Okay, so what is the second method? Second method is slightly different. This will help only those students who are a little bit of readers. You see, if you have a habit of reading, this very quick and deeper method will help you. And in this method, okay, accuracy levels will be slightly higher than in the first method. What is this second method? As you can see on the screen, it says skim the passage quickly. Now, what is skimming? Skimming the passage means reading, okay, the passage and trying to just remember the most important things. But the reading itself should be very quick. So you should quickly glance through the passage, look at the most important things and try to retain them, like what is the author talking about, okay, what is he mentioning, does he mention people, places, animals, things, dates, figures, facts, organization names, etc. So you read quickly through the passage and try to remember only those things that are sort of importantly or easy to remember. And then you go back to the first method, that is, go to the questions, look at the question stem, identify the keywords, and run back to the passage. Now, because you already have read through the passage rather fast, quickly, okay, it will be easier for you to locate the ideas. You see, this will save you more time, and possibly you may be able to attempt more questions in less amount of time. I suggest only these two methods, my dear friends. Okay, if you are already a great reader, if you have practiced how to read and answer the passage, etc., very effectively, then go ahead and do that. Okay, this is a shortcut method. Considering the fact that there are 200 questions and only 120 minutes, this will definitely help you do better than most students who are taking the test. Okay, so that's the idea. We'll move on to the next question type. The second question type that I'm going to discuss is something that we call paragraph-based questions. And in SSC, there are two types of para-based questions, and the first type is para-jumble question. Now we at time refer to this as para-jumble question. Some of us could refer to this as para-formation question. Okay, some people even call this paragraph scrambles or scrambled sentences. As you can see, the model is very simple and clear. In the last 3 SSC tier 2 exams that I have seen, this was the model given. Okay, they select a paragraph with 6 sentences Okay, and the first and the last sentences, that is the first and the sixth sentence, are kept in their original places, and the in between four sentences are jumbled up. Okay, and they are given labels like PQRS. So PQRS, the in between four sentences, they are not in the correct order. Your job is to unjumble them and put them in the correct order. Okay, now this actually, apart from testing your language proficiency, also tests your reasoning ability. Reasoning in the sense, are you good at linking ideas or not? Okay, now linking ideas is a little bit higher than, being able, being good at language. Okay, so one has to be good at language and also a little bit, good at logic to be able to answer this question. Okay, this also is slightly time consuming. Let me warn you beforehand. Okay, let's look at the weightage first. In the November, December and Jan exams that I analyzed, there were 20 questions of this type, and 20 is a really big number. Okay, and just like RC, this question is also a little bit of time consuming, and in general, okay, from SSC students' point of view, it's moderate to difficult and not easy at all. So you should be very cautious about this question type. Okay, so what is the problem? As you may have already understood, okay, the most important or difficult issue with this particular question type is the time consumption. Just like RC's, this question type takes a lot more time on an average. Okay, so 30 seconds that I discussed is not what is enough for this question. One may even take more than 45 seconds, maybe even 1 minute per question. So you should be conscious of this fact that this is a time consuming question. Okay, especially because we have to look at many possibilities. Definitely the four possibilities or four options that they have given. Okay, so what's my advice here? My advice is attempt only after you are done with all the other question types. Okay, meaning attempt only after all the question types. Matlab, okay, you finish everything else and you are still left with time. Matlab, everything else would mean even RC. So you're done with RC, you're done with vocab question, grammar questions, and every other question type. In the end, whatever time you are left with, that is what you need to give to PARA-JUMBLE. PARA-JUMBLE should not come in the middle, should not come in the beginning, definitely not, anywhere in the beginning. Are we clear? So please attempt PARA-JUMBLE only in the end, after every question is attempted. Okay, because this question type can go anyways. Okay, you may unnecessarily lose marks. Okay, so remember that. And when you do attempt, of course, I'm asking you to attempt. I'm not saying avoid. I'm asking you to attempt in the end. Don't forget that. Okay. Now, when you do attempt, follow the method. I have a simple method for you. Okay. This method, is particularly suitable for SSC PARA-JUMBLEs. Okay. This may not be suitable for anything higher. I'm not saying that this is a blanket method for all PARA-JUMBLE questions in the world. This is best suited for the kind of PARA-JUMBLEs that are given in SSC. Okay, there is something in SSC PARA-JUMBLEs which is very important, and that is the connectives. Okay, so I call this method the connectives method. But what is connective? What do we mean by connective? I'm sure some of you already know this. Okay, now my contention is that it is the connectives that are there in the sentences that help you to identify the crucial link. Okay, so there are two things I'm going to discuss now. One, what do we mean by connective? Two, what is this crucial link? Okay, to be able to explain, I'm going back a couple of slides. Okay, so let's look at this question. Okay, it says, the first sentence says, a poor old woman lost her only child. Okay, and the last sentence says, then she understood the message of the great wise man. In between, we have these four sentences. Okay, so P says, he asked. Obviously, you see, he asked would mean there's a male. Okay, third person male singular has been mentioned somewhere in the passage, in the among the sentences. It's not in the first sentence, it's not in the last sentence, so it must be in between. So he asked her to bring some seeds from a house where death has never taken place. Q says, the wise man. Now we understand. Okay, the wise man. You see, the wise man decided to make her understand that death is unavoidable. Now, any clever student who knows enough language will immediately understand that the sentence which says he should come after the sentence which says Q, not immediately after. Okay, but you cannot have a sequence where P is coming, before Q. Okay, P Q is not possible. For example, look at option number 1. Option number 1 says SPQ. You can easily eliminate that because P says he, okay, and Q says the wise man. Now that's a little bit difficult. Okay, so let's look at R. R says she could not find such a house. Okay, now there's a context there. She could not. Obviously, she refers to the old woman. And S says she came to a wise man asking him to bring her child back to life. So we know which child we are talking about. The child that is mentioned in 1. A poor old woman lost her only child. Okay. Now in this we can clearly understand that the S sentence, should come immediately after 1. On what basis? Number 1. A poor old woman is referred back as she. Okay, she came to a wise man asking him. Okay, now second reason is in Q it says the wise man, and in S it says a wise man. Is there a difference? Of course there is a difference. The sentence with a or an, okay, before a noun should come, okay, before a sentence with the before that same noun. So I first say a boy and then I say the boy. I cannot say the boy first and then a boy, which means there are two reasons. One, okay, the sentence S has she. Another, the sentence has a wise man. Okay, which means S should come first. Okay, now how many choices do we have with S? 1 and 2. Okay, and already we understood that P cannot come before Q, which means 1 is rejected, which means the answer has to be 2. Okay, now but before we go ahead, we should confirm SQPR. Is that order making sense? Let us see. 1 says a poor old woman lost her only child. Okay, S says she came to a wise man asking him to bring her child back to life. Okay, Q says the wise man decided to make her understand that death is unavoidable. Okay, and P says he asked her to bring some seeds from a house where death has never taken place, and R says she could not find such a house, and 6 aptly ends it, then she understood the message of the great wise man. So you see, SQPR is definitely making sense. Now how did I answer this? By first identifying the crucial link. After 1, S should come. Okay, after P, after P, Q cannot come. So based on these two ideas, I could easily answer this question. So the links that I identified using the connectives he and the, a and the, and she and a poor old woman. Okay, these are connectives, and using these connectives I identified the crucial link. Now this is what is called crucial link connectives method or connectives crucial link method. Okay, so let me elaborate a little bit. Obviously you would want to know what are the different types of connectives. Here I have collected different types of connectives for you. Okay, the first type of connective that I'm, please take a picture of this. First type of connective that I'm giving here is nouns are always followed by pronouns. Meaning, pronouns come only after nouns. Okay, so if you see a pronoun, it means there was a noun before. For example, Ram is mentioned and then I go ahead and mention he. Simran, then I say she. Women, then I say they. Okay, and then other pronouns are also there. I'm sure you know that. Okay, it, this, that, etc. All these are pronouns. So the moment you see a pronoun, he, she, it, they, this, that, these, etc., immediately look for the noun they may be referring to and establish crucial links. That's the best, connective method. Now, what else is a connective? Second one, full names are always followed by short names. Matlab, if there is a short name, definitely, if there is a full and a short name, definitely we can say that full name should come before the short name. You cannot have it ulta. For example, in a paragraph about APJ Abdul Kalam, I have to mention APJ Abdul Kalam first and then only I can say Kalam. I cannot directly start the paragraph with Kalam and then go on to say APJ Abdul Kalam. That is absurd. Nowhere in the world will anyone do that. So remember this, full name followed by short or nicknames. Another connective that we have here is long forms are always followed by short forms. Meaning, if there's a long and a short form, if there are long and short forms both in a paragraph, okay, the long form should come first and the short form should come later. For example, okay, let us say it is about SEBI. So obviously the author has to first say Securities and Exchange Board of India and then only he can say SEBI. Okay, there may be a paragraph that directly begins with SEBI, but okay, you cannot have, you cannot later go and say what SEBI is. That's very, unlikely or exceptional case. So normally full forms are mentioned first and then they go to use short forms. So that's the third important link. Okay. Fourth one, I already referred to this. Definite article the comes after the use of a or an before a noun. So first a noun with a or an will be there. For instance, a boy, and then the same noun is referred to later as the boy. You cannot have a sentence paragraph with the boy first and then later a boy. So remember this also. And then fifth one is the author often uses the following to give additional information. Obviously, you see there are 6 sentences in this question type. In each of these question type, if there are 6 sentences, the author may also give additional information. And if the author is giving additional information in another sentence, he has to use certain important words. Without these linkers or connectives, he cannot give additional information. For example, after saying something, the author may say moreover, or additionally, or in addition, or specifically, something like that. So any of these words could be used to give additional information. So if you have a sentence that says moreover, okay, these girls, okay, were interested primarily in the quality of a product. Now that moreover indicates that this sentence cannot begin. It has to follow another sentence where already information has been given of the similar nature. So I say something and then I say moreover these girls, blah blah. Okay, so remember these additional info indicators, these are also very important. Then we go ahead. The sixth type of connective that we have here is author often uses the following to compare. You see, one of the important things authors in general do, or we all of us do in general, is we make comparisons. When we look at people, places, animals, we make comparison. Okay, we talk about one thing and say that it is similar to something else. Okay, so author may also do this. So if you have a sentence that says likewise, okay, the women from India also were interested in quality, it means there was another sentence where some other women or some other people were mentioned who were interested in something. That's where the author says likewise, right? So likewise indicates similarity. So likewise, also, while, in the same way, like, as, similarly, etc. These all indicate comparison, similarity. And similarly, the author may use ideas that are in contrast to each other, which means he has to use some contrasting words. For example, I may have a sentence in S that says, okay, Ram worked very hard for the exam, and P may say, however, he failed. You see, we have double linkers here. One S says Ram and P says he. Another S says Ram worked very hard and P says, however, he failed. So this however is contrasting the hard work and failure, which means S should immediately be followed by P. So SP is a crucial link. Don't forget that. Okay, contrasting words are often used in such paragraphs. Use them to your advantage and identify crucial links. Okay, so what are the contrasting words? Still, although, on the other hand, on the one hand, however, yet, otherwise, etc. All these examples given here that you can see on the screen are all contrasting words, and they are also very important connectives. We go ahead. 8. Okay, the 8th example that I'm giving here is the author uses certain words to emphasize. You see, emphasis means, okay, I may want to emphasize certain ideas, right? Okay, so I may say a few things and then I may certainly say the most important thing of all is blah blah blah. Okay, when I say the most important thing of all is, okay, obviously I'm emphasizing some idea, right? So if I'm emphasizing some idea, it means that particular idea is very important for my discussion. And if you identify that, it means you will be in a better position to identify the links in my sentences. Okay, so please do make note of emphasis words if there are any in the paragraph and use them to your advantage. Okay, and then we also have certain words that are called sequence words. When are sequence words given? Oftentimes you see author is talking about many ideas. Okay, in order to clearly put them in proper order, he may use sequential words. Such words as firstly, secondly, thirdly. You see, so sentence with firstly, if is there, and another sentence if is there with secondly, so you can easily understand that the firstly sentence should come before the secondly sentence. Okay, similarly he may say finally, for instance, or to begin with, for instance. Okay, so these are sequence words. They will also help us to establish links among sentences. So please use these. Okay, these are sequence words: first, second, third, etc. All of them are important. Okay, so we go to the next connectives. The author may also give examples, and for that he has to use certain words like, for example, for instance, in this case, in another case, etc. Okay, now what do these tell us? If the author is saying, for example, blah blah blah, you easily or immediately understand that the example sentence should come after the point sentence. So point is followed by example, not the other way around. So you should use this also to identify the crucial link and then establish overall links of the sentences. And the ninth link is the author also uses conclusive words when he concludes. For example, he may say hence, thus, therefore, etc. when he's concluding a point. Obviously, the conclusion sentence comes after the point sentence. After making the point, he concludes, and not the other way around. So you can use these also to your advantage. So please, I hope you have been taking pictures of these slides, because a comprehensive list is not easily available these days. Okay, so that is the discussion on para-jumbles. We move ahead to second paragraph based question, and that is type 2 cloze test. Okay, so cloze test. What is cloze test? We already know. Small paragraph is given with usually 5 to 10 blanks, and each blank will have corresponding set of choices. Okay, you have to select the most suitable word for each blank. Okay, so far as weightage is concerned, in the last 3 exams that I said I analyzed, 25 questions were there. Okay, in about 4 to 5 passages. Okay, one passage had 10 blanks in it, and most of the passages had 5 blanks each, and word choices were given. And I found the difficulty level to be moderate to be difficult, not very easy definitely. Okay, and why is that? Because the knowledge and skill required for this question is vocabulary, and apart from vocabulary, you need to have the ability to comprehend paragraph theme and central idea. Now, that is something many people or many students feel that this is a vocab question. It's not just a vocabulary question. In fact, if you see most of the posters, they have simpler words. Okay, so what is that they're testing? They're testing your ability to understand a paragraph. Do you understand the paragraph theme, the context, the central idea, the primary purpose of the passage? Okay, etc. The tone, for example, whether the author is positive or negative, etc. or not, is what is primarily tested. The students who understand the central idea, the theme, the tone, and the context of the paragraph are better able to answer this question than those students who are just good at vocabulary. Please remember this. Okay, this question requires you to read the whole paragraph and understand it before starting the answer. That's why it is difficult. Otherwise, you see it's just a vocab question. Okay, so what is the benefit of this question type? One cloze test will have 5 to 10 questions, and this means your average time per question comes down, and you can save time. So one difficulty is that it requires you to read and understand the passage, but there's a benefit, and that benefit is one single question can help you deal with one single set can help you deal with 5 or 10 questions at one go, which means the average time taken per question comes down. You see, each blank is a question. Are you getting it? Each blank is a question. It's not that one set of 5 blanks is one question. It's not. One set of 5 blanks is 5 questions, which means the average time taken for you to attempt these questions will come down. Okay, so you must actually attempt this, not like para-jumbles. Para-jumbles can be put last, but these should be attempted definitely. Okay, so what's my advice? I would say attempt these questions immediately after vocab questions. I'm going to give you the order of attempts shortly. Okay, and after vocab questions, the first thing that you should do is go to cloze test. Okay, and an important point is read the entire paragraph as I already stated, and understand the theme, central idea, primary purpose, and the tone of the paragraph before selecting suitable words for the blanks. If you don't do this, for example, some students are there. Okay, the problem is in SSC, they actually give you the paragraph, okay, and the question for blank immediately. So student may try to answer that particular question for the first blank and then move on to second blank. Don't do that. Please do not do that. Read the entire paragraph first and then start attempting the questions, or start selecting the words. Read the entire paragraph first. Repeat. Okay, and then only select the words. So this is my advice for cloze test. We move on to the next question type. Okay, now we are entering the vocab based questions, and that is the first type, synonym and antonym. Now, unlike what some students may think, okay, synonym and antonym questions have a very small weightage. Okay, in the last 3 years' papers that I have seen, there are just about 6 questions, 3 synonym questions, 3 antonym questions, and the level is definitely more difficult than tier 2, but not that very deadly difficult. Okay, the only shortcoming is only 6 questions. Okay, everybody I'm sure would have been happy, okay, if the number of questions was bigger, because they are fast and less time consuming. So what is the benefit of this question type? Okay, the only benefit is if you are very good at vocab, this can be answered very, very fast. Okay, saving time for other questions. You can consciously avoid negative marking. What do I mean by that? Okay, when you look at a question, vocab question, you can easily tell whether you can answer this question correctly or not. because you can easily tell whether you know the words or word or not. Okay, so you need to be very clear here. You should not guess. Guessing should be avoided in vocab based questions. Okay, personal advice. Because if you guess, it means you are taking unnecessary chances. Why should you not guess? Because you can know whether you are right or wrong. Okay, you are guessing means, when should we guess? When we are a little bit dicey. Okay, and we feel more correct, more likely to correct, etc. That's where guessing should happen. But in vocab question, everybody can easily say whether I know the word's meaning or do not know. So if you know, answer. If you don't know, don't answer. Look at it, leave it if you don't know. Okay, so it saves time, because the average time taken for synonym antonym question is about what, 10-15 seconds. So it brings your average time of attempt, helping you to save some time for RC and para-based questions. Okay, so my advice is attempt all questions, I repeat, but answer only those that you are 100% sure. No guessing. We go to next vocab question type, and that is one word substitute. Okay, unlike synonym antonym questions, there are 10 one-word substitute questions, but these are also just like vocab questions. You see, in one-word substitute question, they give a definition of a word and they give you 4 or 5 choices, and you have to select the correct word. Something like, a person who does not believe in God because he thinks God does not exist. Obviously, we are looking at atheist. So this is just like vocab question. They are giving you meaning of a word and they are asking you to select the word. So it's as good as vocab synonym antonym questions, and your treatment should also be the same. That is, okay, you should attempt only, okay, if you are 100% sure, and not do guessing game. Okay, so you can consciously avoid negative marking this way. Same with the next question type, that is vocab based idioms and phrases question. Now, what is an idiom? You already know. Okay, idioms are very deadly phrases, okay, which have meanings that are totally different from the words' meanings in the idioms. For example, if I say, okay, I stopped speaking to Ram because he let the cat out of the bag. You see, the phrase here is let the cat out of the bag. Now, anybody who takes this literally will think that there is an actual cat, there's an actual bag, and he, let the cat out of the bag, and I got furious, I got angry, and I stopped speaking to him. But that's not the meaning. Anybody who knows it knows that this phrase actually means to reveal a secret or to tell a secret. Now, what has cat got to do with a secret, or secret got to do with a cat? We don't know, but that's what it means. To let the cat out of the bag means to reveal a secret. Okay, he kicked the bucket means he died. You see? Okay, when pigs fly means never. Okay, this is the nature of idioms. You cannot guess them. You have to know them. It's just like word and their meanings. So when it comes to synonym antonym and the previous question, that is one word substitute, okay, this question is similar to them. You either know or you don't know. Okay, it's easy to prepare because there are many lists are available. Okay, but because we can definitely say whether we know the answer or not, we can consciously avoid negative marking. And here too, my advice therefore is attempt all, but answer only those that you are 100% sure about. Do not start this guessing game, especially in the case of idioms. Please do not guess. For instance, there is an American idiom which says break a leg. Now, what can you actually guess the meaning of break a leg is? Believe it or not, it means all the best. How can break a leg mean all the best? But that's how it is. This is the nature of idioms. Do not please guess. So let's move on to the next vocab based question. This is fill in the blanks question. Actually, fill in the blank questions are a mix of both vocab and grammar, but I found more vocab questions than grammar questions, which is why you'll see that fill in the blank questions are being discussed in vocab based. Okay, now be it vocab based or grammar based, it doesn't matter. Okay, because the number of fill in the blank questions is very small. You see, in the last 3 papers that I've seen, just 5 questions were there on fill in the blanks. Okay, a mix of both vocab and grammar, and this question should also be treated like other vocab questions. Okay, you either would know, because in grammar also they give word based fill in the blanks rather than phrase or incorrectness of grammar, etc. For instance, adverbs or nouns or adjectives, for example. Okay, now the only small problem in this question type is you need to understand the sentence to be able to answer this question. Okay, so other than that, it is just like your other questions, that is other vocab based questions, which means if you are 100% sure of the answer, go ahead and answer, otherwise do not. Treat fill in the blank questions also in the same manner as you would treat any other vocab based question. Okay, so one small thing before I discuss this correct spelling vocab based question is, okay, if you see just pure vocab based question, if you include 4 correct spellings, okay, 10 idioms, that is 14, okay, 10 one word substitute, that is 24, and 6 antonyms, that is 30 questions. If you take care with these 30 vocab based questions, I'm leaving fill in blanks out. If you take care of these 30 vocab based question, as I said, quickly look at the question. If you know the answer, attempt. If you are 100% sure, attempt. Otherwise, leave it. If you do this, which means on an average you should be giving it 10 seconds, which means 30 questions in 10 into 30 is 300 seconds. 300 seconds is like 5 minutes. So you should give 5 minutes only for these 30 questions, maybe 6 minutes, but not more than that. Otherwise, where will you get extra time for RCs? Where will you get extra time for close test? Where will you get extra time for PARA-JUMBLEs, for instance? So this is where it is. And a clever student must have understood the reason why they are giving small number of vocab questions, vocab based questions, is because it saves a lot of time. They want to see whether you are a good time manager or not. So do remember, these 30 vocab based questions should be attempted very fast, because it is easier to decide for decide whether we know the answer or not. We can be 100% sure of the answer. If you are sure, answer. If you are not sure, do not answer, move on. You will save a lot of precious time, precious seconds for your other question types, and that will help you perform much better than most other students in the country. Okay, trust me on that. So the last vocab based question is, okay, correct spellings, and unfortunately just 4 questions were there. Okay, and the most important point I would like to say is they focused only on the common spelling errors. If you go to net and type the common errors in spellings or common misspellings, you'll actually get a number of lists. Okay, these 4 questions or 4 misspellings that were given were from those lists only. So they're not focusing on absurd wrong spellings of any kind of word. They're focusing only on common errors in spelling, the ones that we usually indulge in, like in receive, for example, EI instead of IE kind of stuff. Okay, so that's one way of preparation. And the benefit of this question type is the same as the benefit that we have for other vocab questions. And my advice is the same again. What is? Attempt all, but answer only those that you are 100% sure. Okay. So we move on to the important part here. How to prepare for this vocab question then? Vocab questions. Okay. First, I would say, if you are a time student, finish all the time handouts. Okay, all the study materials. Okay, and all the tests. Okay, everywhere that you see any vocab question given to you, either in the handout, study material, or the tests. Okay, these are all based on research. We have studied all the tests, etc., and we know the kind of level. We did not unnecessarily give you very difficult, dangerous words. We have given only those words that are likely to come in the exam. So this is the first and the most important part of your preparation. And if if you have attended time classes, you must have seen that we use root based methods in classes. Root, prefixes, suffixes method, okay, to help you easily remember the words. So if you are using those shortcuts, use them to remember words, because memory is the most important part of vocab development or vocab answering of the questions. Okay, and apart from these things, if you have to, if you have extra time, if you haven't already done something extra, then you can read the following 2 books that I've given here. The first book is really important for SSC. The second is slightly higher. Okay, only those students who are already good at vocabulary and want to make it more challenging for themselves and improve language in general, they should go to the second book. So the first one is Students' Companion by Wilfred D. Best. Okay, now the original author of this book is Wilfred D. Best. Okay, however, this book is like very great book. It is almost always out of stock. In case you don't get it, then you go to another book by Rupa Publication, same name, Students' Companion by Rupa Publication. Okay, so if you get Wilfred D. Best, well and good. Otherwise, Rupa Publication book is also available. Get it. And the second book that I personally recommend to students, only those who are already good at vocab and want to take it to another level of vocab preparation, they should go to the second book, that is Word Power Made Easy. It is world famous book in vocabulary by Norman Lewis. It's very reasonably priced. Please buy that. It will also in general improve your language, will be helpful for PARA-JUMBLE, will be helpful in close test, will be helpful particularly in reading comprehension. So really great book. Okay, so we move to the most important part of our SSC tier 2 English language section, and that is grammar based questions. Okay, grammar is a major chunk of your SSC English language preparation and test, guys, and this is really important. So the first grammar-based question type that we are discussing here is error identification, or the so-called spotting error question, where one sentence is broken into 4 or 5 pieces, and you have to identify a part with an error, grammar error, obviously. Okay, in the last 3 exams that I analyzed, there were 20 questions of this particular type, and 20 is a really big number. Okay, now many would disagree with me, but I would say grammar questions are similar to vocab questions. It's a matter of knowledge. Okay, of course, you can acquire this knowledge through reading or by studying rules and attending classes. That's a different issue, but it still is a matter of knowledge, which means you can be 100% sure about the answer. Okay, when you look at a sentence, if you are aware of the concept, you can easily tell whether you are 100% sure or not of the answer. Okay, that is the greatness of this question. Okay, but obviously, because this is SSC Tier 2, the difficulty level was slightly greater than SSC Tier 1 questions, and the only problem you may have is you may not have knowledge. Okay, so please, again, my personal advice to you is do not guess when it comes to grammar questions. It is better that in the coming 30 days, study as much as possible. I'm going to give you some important advice regarding this. Study as much as possible. Do not unnecessarily go to exam and start guessing. Okay, it should be like very crystal clear to you. When you look at the sentence, it should be obvious to you. Oh, this is the error. Error is in part B. Error is in part A. That kind of feeling you should have. 100% certainty is very, very important. If you are not 100% sure, have a habit of avoiding answering. Okay, guessing will take you down, not up. Okay, so what is my advice here? Attempt all questions, but answer only those that you are 100% sure. Okay, be more cautious here than elsewhere. Cautious in the sense, do not do this guessing here. Okay, so what is the next question type in grammar? Erroneous or underlined phrase replacement. Okay, so they may actually put the phrase in bold, or they may underline the phrase. Okay, in the last 3 tests that I've seen, the phrase was underlined. Okay, and this also had 20 questions in it. So error identification 20, underlined phrase replacement 20. That makes 40 questions. 40 out of 200 already. You see, grammar is so important, and this is similar to your error identification question. Instead of asking you to identify an error in 4 parts, in this case they're asking you to identify an error only in 1 part. So if there's an error, you have to replace it with one of the correct options that is given, that are given as options. Okay, so treat this in the same manner as you treat error identification question. That is, knowledge of grammar, common rules very important, knowledge of grammar important, and my advice is the same here. Attempt all, but answer only those that you are 100% sure. Okay, be more cautious here than elsewhere. Okay, let's go to another grammar-based question, that is active voice, passive voice. Now this, I would say, is something that every student should be so thoroughly prepared that all the 20 questions should be answered correctly. Okay, it may take a little bit more time in general than other grammar question types, because you will be given 1 active voice sentence and 4 passive voice possibilities, or 1 passive voice and 4 active voice possibilities. The point is, okay, this may take a little bit extra time for you to read, but your preparation should be so thorough, because it is a compulsory question. In the last 3 exams that I saw, there were 20 compulsory questions from active to passive voice. Compulsory, which means, and active voice, passive voice is just one simple concept. Actually, it's not like very deadly difficult multiple level concept. It's just one simple thing, active to passive conversion. Okay, so you should be very thorough in your preparation, and you should be so thorough that all the 20 should be correctly answered by you. Okay, the difficulty was moderate to difficult, and the problem with this question type is knowledge of all structures important. And when I say knowledge of all structures, okay, there are 12 tenses in English. Okay, and if you take all the tenses, there are like some 20 to 25 possible structures that we can have, and each structure will have a passive voice, which means in all you should be aware of 50 to, let us say, 60 structures of active and passive voice sentences. The moment you see the sentence, you should immediately remember which structure it is, which tense it is, and what is the passive voice form of that. Okay, it should be so very thoroughly embedded in your head that you should be easily able to identify the structure and easily answer it. Okay, some students are so good at this, okay, that even before they go to the choices, they decide what the answer should be, and they just look for that. Whereas students with a little bit less knowledge, they look at every choice and see which is the correct, which is wrong. That, I would say, is a wrong method, because if you see an active voice sentence, you should be able to tell what the passive voice is on your own. You don't have to look at the choices. So prepare thoroughly. Okay, the benefit of this question type is many questions are asked on one single concept. and easier than error identification. Much easier than error identification. The only problem is it takes a little bit more time, but it's much easier. So my attempt here again is attempt all, but answer only that you are 100% sure. But prepare well so that you can be 100% sure in all the 20 questions. That's an important point. Okay, so we go to next, and this is another question type similar to active voice, passive voice, and that is direct indirect speech. This is something that has been taught to us in 10th class, in 8th class, in 9th class. I'm sure in intermediate first year or 11th class, even in 12th class. You see, active voice, passive voice, direct indirect. Almost every English teacher must have discussed this in your classes. Okay, and just like active voice, passive voice structures are fixed, direct indirect speech structures are also fixed. And the problem is you should be very, very thoroughly knowledgeable about all these structures. So clear that if I give you a direct speech sentence, you should immediately be able to tell me what is the indirect speech sentence. It should be so thorough. And this, because it's compulsorily going to be there, you should again be so thoroughly prepared that there should not be any problem. Just like all the 20 questions correct in active voice, passive voice, here all the 25 questions should be correct. Without any doubt, not even a single mistake should be there. 20 plus 25 is like 45 marks already guaranteed. Okay, now this is very important. I repeat, active voice, passive voice, and direct indirect speech. Okay, compulsorily about 40 to 45 questions will be there, and you should be so thoroughly prepared that when you go and these questions come, all answers should be correct. Okay, because there's no reason why answer should be wrong. It's a fixed, it's a science. Every active voice, passive sentence has a active voice sentence has a fixed passive voice. Every direct speech sentence has a fixed indirect speech. Okay, there's no ambiguity here, and the clarity is already fixed. Study, go prepared. That's my advice. Okay, so see, benefit is again 25 questions, easier than error identification questions, and again attempt all questions but answer only those that you are 100% sure about. Okay, so if you see, the overall weightage for grammar is 25 plus 20, 45, 45 plus 20, 65, and 65 plus 20, 85 questions. Almost 50% weightage is there only for grammar, my dear friends. And if you have 2 or 3 questions from the fill in the blank, it is much more than that. So any student worth his salt, if he is hardworking and if it is serious about this SSC Tier 2, should prepare for grammar as thoroughly as possible. In the coming days, okay, almost 50% of your time should be consumed only by grammar. Okay, so in this regard, I have some, simple advice for you so far as preparation is concerned. Okay, first start focusing on most common errors in English grammar. Okay, so go to Google or, go to your study material. We have given you one of the most, brilliant books on grammar. Okay, if you are a time student, you have been given a book called V102. Just check it, or the number may have changed, for SSC. The point is that grammar book is really good. Okay, so from that, study all the common errors in English grammar. First, focus on only common errors. That will give you, foothold or some, control. And then go on to the most common errors in Indian English. Okay, this will tell you, all those wrong things that you have already, are bad at, and I will tell you what is the correct, option or what is the correctness in that. And then after that, divide and rule. Go to types and examples of nouns, and then common errors and usage of nouns. Similarly, go to types and examples of pronouns and common errors and usage of pronouns. Similarly, go to types and examples of verbs and common errors in verbs, again adjectives, again adverbs, conjunctions, prepositions. So do this, all types and examples of nouns, pronouns, etc. for all parts of speech, and go to common errors of all parts of speech and study them separately. Okay, now by the time you go to these all types of common errors in all the 8 parts of speech, you will have such a great control on grammar that you won't believe it. And then you start focusing on special areas like special focus on agreement issues. Okay, agreement is like subject verb agreement issue. Okay, whether I should say Ram is or Ram are, for instance. And then go to special uses of articles a, an, and the, and then go to words often confused. Now what do we mean by words often confused? Words like stationary with ARY and stationary with ERY, we often get confused. Words like effect, EFFECT, and affect, AFFACT. You see, that's highly confusing. Okay, so some questions you may get on confusables, so take care. And finally, you should be thorough with conversions. What is this conversion? Okay, from active to passive, as I already said, from direct to indirect, from simple compound to complex. Okay, you should, like, if I give you a simple sentence, you should be able to immediately tell what the complex version is, what the compound version is, from compound to complex, from complex to simple. Okay, again, degrees of comparison. If I give you a superlative degree sentence, you should be able to immediately say what is the positive degree sentence or what is the comparative degree sentence. This quickness and clarity is very, very important. You should, in fact, write all these structures down in some notebook and keep on looking at them. Okay, it should be thoroughly memorized, by your system. Okay, that is the best way, because 85 questions is not small number, dear friends. Please remember that. Okay, so finally, we come to the most important part of our, webinar, and that is what is the order of attempts. How should you, attempt, in what order, which question type first and which question type later. As I already told you, because synonym, antonym, and vocab questions take less time in comparison, you should attack them first. Okay, so first go to synonym, antonym questions. The moment you see them, okay, even as you are looking at other question types, immediately attempt them. First, synonym, antonym questions. Okay. Second, go to one-word substitutes, which I already told you are similar to synonym, antonym questions. Okay. Third, you should attack idioms and phrases, again, which are similar to your synonym, antonym questions. So third, idioms and phrases should be attacked. Okay. And fourth, fill in the blanks, vocab-based. Okay, if grammar-based are there, you can attempt them, or you may not attempt them immediately. But I would say fill in the blanks, get done with them. Okay, as you can see, the first four questions that I selected here are less time consuming in general. So once you get done with them, you will get a good head start. Okay, which means you will have attempted around 30 questions already. Maybe you have taken around 5 to 6 minutes, and you should be very conscious of time. You should always have an eye on the timer or the clock, and you should check how much time you have taken for these vocab questions. So if you have a feeling that you are finished with vocab questions, the time elapsed should be around 5 to 6 minutes, not more than that. This consciousness is very important, even in the mocks that you are going to take, that we are going to give you. Okay, ensure that you follow this method. Okay, so you will have a lot of time on your hands when you attack the other question types. So the fifth question type that you should attack is cloze test. Okay, cloze test, as I said, is similar to vocab. Okay, so that is what should come next, and it will take a little bit more time. But again, I said, on an average, the overall time taken would come down. Okay, you will still have a lot of time for other questions, more average time than usual. Okay, so after cloze tests, you go to grammar, and in grammar, the first two questions that you should attack are those 100% certain questions I already talked about: direct, indirect speech questions and active voice, passive questions. Okay, passive voice questions. So 6th and 7th should be either direct, indirect, or active voice, passive voice, or the other way around. Whichever way, I don't have any issues. But these are the two sets that you should attempt next. Okay, after vocab based, go to direct, indirect, active voice, passive voice. Okay, because you are prepared thoroughly for this, and because there will be many questions, you should be able to easily sail through these two question types. And now you are ready for slightly more time consuming questions like error spotting and phrasal replacement, phrase replacement, etc. Okay, so that should be your next let us say level. So 8th question type that you attempt should be error spotting and phrase replacement. Whichever order, I don't have an issue. They in general take the same time. So read carefully, identify the error, answer, move ahead. Read carefully, identify the error, answer, move ahead. Okay, but do remember what I already told you. Okay, you have to be a little bit more cautious here than in direct, indirect, and active voice, passive voice. In direct, indirect, and active voice, passive voice, your certainty level should be more, because you have prepared thoroughly. But when it comes to grammar, error spotting, and phrase replacement, they can ask you a lot of they can ask you about a lot of concepts. So you may be a little bit not so thoroughly prepared as for active and direct, indirect speech. So take more care here. Do not answer every question that you come across. So error spotting, phrase replacement, and finally, in the remaining time, I'm sure there will still be a lot of time, attack reading comprehension first, and then only go to PARA-JUMBLEs, mainly because of one reason. Okay, the accuracy levels of students in reading comprehension are more than in PARA-JUMBLEs. It's not the other way around. You see, PARA-JUMBLE involves a little bit of logical thinking, so that should come last. So please go to reading comprehension first and then PARA-JUMBLEs, not the other way around. Okay. Now, if some of you think you are good at PARA-JUMBLE, then change the order. Then go to PARA-JUMBLE first and then go to reading comprehension. Okay. This last two could be decided based on your comfort levels also. I don't have any issues with that. So this is the order for your question types, gentlemen and ladies. Here we go, and we are ready for the questions and answers you may have. So please shoot your questions. I'll take up each question and answer them. So Chandan Agarwal says, book of grammar, and the book of grammar that I mentioned is Time Book of Grammar. Okay, in case you are not a time student, then I would suggest a book by David Green, okay, called Contemporary English Grammar. Okay, this is one good book, from my side, guys. Okay, so that is one book. And I'm taking another question: which test series should we prefer? Obviously, time test series is what I would recommend, because the kind of research we do is very thorough. We send our people to take the exam so that they can study it well. Okay, so we are like, we have first-hand understanding of the test. So please take time sessions. Mukesh Kumar says thank you. I also thank you. Okay, so Pankaj, Notial, thank you. Samuel Vivek Komu says, will there be any webinar for answer writing for CGL Tier 3? Okay, I'll have to check and get back to you, my dear friend. Okay, we will let you know. We'll send you a mail if there is any such Tier 3, level thing. Okay, same to Anjali Meena. Okay, the best book for Tier 3, I would, check and get back to you. Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you. What could be overall good score here? Okay, good score, you see, it depends, my dear friend. Okay, it depends on the kind of students who are taking in at any given time. Okay, so do your best. Don't have any such good score in mind as of now. Do as well as possible and ensure that you try to score better than most other students. It all depends on preparation. Okay, so somebody is asking about CAT. Okay, for CAT exam, I would say this is not the forum for to talk about CAT exam. We will have a separate session for that. Okay, then for idioms and phrases, what book should I prefer? I would say Google is the best friend here for idioms, phrases, and one-word substitute. Just go to Google, first type common idioms in English. Okay, and then later, after preparing the common stuff, go to only idioms in English. Okay, first common idioms, then idioms. Same with phrasal verbs. Common phrasal verbs in English, and then go to phrasal verbs in English. Okay, first common phrasal verbs, then only phrasal verbs. Don't do the entire phrasal verbs first. Okay, because generally questions are asked only on common phrasal verbs and not all the phrasal verbs in English language. There are quite a lot. Okay, so somebody says, just now I've started to watch this. Please tell me how to prepare for IBPS, clerks, and so on daily basis from tomorrow onwards. Okay, so those who have just joined this, okay, I will shortly be uploading these videos on YouTube maybe. Okay, so or we are planning some more sessions for you. Please keep your keep track of all these developments. It's possible that we conduct another session, and the mail ID that you shall get, send a query in that mail, please, Nancy. Okay, so webinar is helpful. Thank you. Chandan Agarwal says good reference material for. Just a moment. Good reference material for descriptive paper of English. For descriptive, we suggest that I personally suggest that the best thing is once you know how to write an essay, focus on reading and knowing a lot of general stuff about all the important issues that are happening in the country, and then buy any graduate level essay book. Okay, buy any graduate level essay book, and on the topic given, first you write your essay, and then compare your essay with that particular essay and see how you fare in that. That's one of the best ways of improving your writing skills so far as descriptive writing is concerned. Okay, now in my experience, I will only tell you one thing: those who have knowledge of the topic write better essays than those who do not have. And because they do not have knowledge, most essays get less marks. So knowledge is the key. Read a lot of magazines and a lot of newspapers. Keep track of all the important issues that have happened in the country. Okay, that's the best thing, Chandan Agarwal. And yeah, similar session for maths are being planned. I'm sure you'll be notified about that. Okay. Mohammad Sohail Akhtar says, are questions repeating in tier 2 from previous? Question types are getting repeated, not the same questions. Okay, so do not, please study them. If you have available these papers available, study them, but do not try to memorize them. Don't try to memorize them. Questions themselves will never be repeated. Okay, then for preparation, I would say grammar should, Abhinav Gupta says preparation time. I would say whatever time you are giving, 50% of it should be, so far as English is concerned, for grammar. So let us say you are preparing for English for 4 hours. 2 hours and more should be given for grammar preparation. Don't forget that. Okay, then Nancy D, please check with your center about your query if you are a time student. Okay, and reading comprehension passage word limit, or Sai Prasad Ganta says, okay, that the passage word limit is roughly around 200 to 250 words, not bigger than 300 definitely. Okay, and then Priyanka Pawar says my vocab is weak, so how to improve vocabulary? I already told you in time we use special method called roots, prefixes, suffix method. Okay, we have really thoroughly planned and properly developed with proper teaching methodology, planned handouts which we use in our classrooms. Okay, if you are a time student, please refer to them and revise. In case you are not a time student, I would suggest those two books that I have given, Students' Companion and Word Power Made are the best. Okay, so I go to one more question here. So bank PO sessions are also being planned, Chandan Agarwal. You will be notified about the same. Okay, Anu Jain says I missed starting session. Where can I get the video to watch again? See, we actually generally don't believe in uploading our videos onto YouTube and all that, but it's possible. Okay, I cannot guarantee. Okay, please keep track of this. In future, we may upload this video, but no guarantee. Okay, so then Shaoli Chakraborty says, how is the book Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis for developing vocab? I already recommended this book. Shaoli Chakraborty, this is one of the best books on vocab development in the world. You must read it, but there's a but there. Only after preparing basics of vocabulary. So if you are already good at vocab in general, and if you have also finished Students' Companion, and then only go to this book called Word Power Made Easy. Okay, this book is slightly higher in level. Okay, it is meant for students who are looking for a greater score than most students, like trying to top the exam. Okay, so that's the answer for your question. Then Tarun Agarwal says, would mirror of common errors suffice for error detection? Okay, now mirror of common errors, I heard that book. Okay, it's it actually focuses on common errors. I agree. Okay, it would be part of your initial preparation. Okay, if you are a time student, you don't have to worry about that because our material is also there. So please refer to our material if you are a time student. And then I'll already mention one book's name, David Green's book. It is a little bit chapterized and maybe a little bit boring for you, but it's good. Okay, because it gives you thorough control on grammar. See, grammar is something that cannot be learned as we learn vocab. For instance, memorizing sentences and memorizing this and that pattern. You should have a proper grasp on grammar. Okay, that will give you a command. Otherwise, you will always be doubtful about whether the answer is correct or incorrect. So I suggest our books and the books that are suggested than any other book, my dear friend. Tarun Agarwal. So that's my answer to you. And for closed text, okay, again I would say our books are really good and our handouts are really good, so that would be more than enough, my dear friend. And so we move on to next question. Is last year's paper sufficient for synonym-antonym? No, I would not say, because do not prepare for vocab. Anjali Meena, do not prepare for vocab only because there are vocab questions. Vocab is also important for your RC, vocab is important for para-jumbles, for your closed test, and every other question. Even in grammar they may give you a slightly difficult word. So prepare vocab for general overall language development rather than for only vocab questions. Okay, so Anjali Meena, that's the answer. Then Sohel says thank you. Nancy says thank you. Chandan Agarwal, English preparation for PO and SD is almost the same. Yeah, I would say for if you mean SSC and PO, I would say it is almost the same. However, PO level is far too higher these days. Okay, because SBI PO people are increasing the level, even IBPS people are increasing the level, so it is slightly more difficult. Okay, otherwise almost the same. Preparation is the same. Okay, will there be webinar? So Shauli Chakraborty, as I said, we may plan a webinar for tier 3. We will notify you. Okay, so then about good score, I said, do not have any particular score in mind. Do your best. Try to score, something like 10%. What's wrong with that? Prepare so thoroughly that you try to score as many marks as possible. In grammar, out of 85, you should definitely get above 50 without any doubt. More than 50 is what you should score. And in vocab also the same stuff. So you should look for a really high score. Don't have any particular number in mind. Do your best. Then some more questions here. So far as I know, tier 2 and tier 3 may have different dates, Merlin. Just check the dates, they are available on the net. Okay, check our website. And time mock series, I am sure you have got a mail already. Okay, we are soon about to start time mock series for SSC. Okay, in case you do not have direct information, please send an mail to info@timeforeducation.com. Okay, I am typing. Yeah, I'm typing the mail ID. Those who have any queries can send a mail to info@timeforeducation.com. Okay, we'll all get this reply. Please check it. Okay, then yeah, Plinth Paramount also I have heard it's also a good book. Vamsi Praki Web. Okay, but however, I already told you most of the books that I already said are the best books. I cannot guarantee any other book in the market. But the ones that we already said, we can assure that these are the really good books on grammar. Okay. Tarun Agarwal says thank you too. And then okay, for IBPS Specialist Officer English, I would say the same preparation as IBPS PO. Okay, there is not much difference there. The level is almost the same. Okay, so many more thank yous are there here. Rohit Giri says, how much time do I need to cover all the topics if I start tomorrow? Okay, 30 days are more than enough if you are from English medium background. Okay, if you are from English medium background, 30 days are really enough. Okay, obviously you should focus more on grammar than other things. Okay, once your grammar is done thoroughly, then once you start revising grammar, you should go to other areas. Okay, so other areas would mean vocab, RC, and PARA-JUMBLE and all those things. Okay, so to finish with grammar first, because that would be the major part of your preparation. So Rohit Giri, that's your answer. Surinder Singh says English book material can be purchased on time or not. Okay, so if you go to time offices, we have some books there at time offices. Okay, special books. Those who are looking for some good preparation book, you will find them there. Okay, time has its own books published and which are meant for selling for non-time students. For our students, we give our own study material. So if you're looking for time books, you can find it in time offices. But the time material that we give to students, they are not for sale for non-time students. You have to join a course. So check with your nearest center in the city. And then for IBPS class time mock series have started or not? Again, you have to send a mail to info@timeforeducation Nancy. I would not be able to answer that question immediately. Okay, so that's it, my dear friends. With that, I'll just have a look at some questions again. Not many questions there. We're almost done with our session. Okay, so that's it then. Okay, so most of the questions are answered. My dear friends, I wish you all the best for your SSC. Okay, take care, prepare thoroughly, and don't forget all the things that I've already said. I hope you have taken photograph of some of the slides that I've already given. So wishing you all the best. I'm ending this webinar. Thank you very much. Good night.